At exactly 3:30 in the afternoon, India's stock market appears to come to a stop. The charts freeze. The rapid movement of prices disappears. Television anchors begin discussing the biggest gainers and losers of the day. For millions of investors, it feels like the market has already delivered its final answer. But something strange happens next. A few minutes later, the price shown on your screen may quietly change. Not because of breaking news, not because another massive trade suddenly happened, but because behind the scenes, something else is still happening. A hidden process is calculating one final number, a number that affects mutual funds, index funds, institutions, and millions of investors. The official closing price. So the question is simple. If trading has already ended, who changed the price? Was there another trade after the market closed? Did someone make a mistake? Or is there a system working silently after everyone thinks the market is finished? The answer is one of the most misunderstood mechanisms in the Indian stock market: the closing auction process. And although it lasts only a few minutes, it helps determine prices for billions of rupees worth of investments every single day. To understand why this process exists, imagine something completely unrelated to stocks. Imagine you are buying a used car. Throughout the day, hundreds of people negotiate prices. Most buyers and sellers agree that a particular car is worth around 8 lakh rupees. Then, just seconds before the dealership closes, one desperate seller agrees to sell the exact same car for 5 lakh rupees because they urgently need money. Now imagine tomorrow's newspaper announces, the market value of this car is 5 lakh rupees. Would that really represent the true value of the car? Probably not. It would only represent one unusual transaction that happened at one specific moment. The stock market faces the same problem. Every second, thousands of investors are buying and selling for different reasons. Some are investing for years. Some are trading within minutes. Some are reacting emotionally. Others are forced to buy or sell because of their strategies. A single final trade does not always represent the true balance between buyers and sellers. And that becomes a serious problem because the closing price is much more important than most people realize. Mutual funds use closing prices to calculate their daily net asset value. Index funds compare their performance against benchmark indices. Portfolio managers measure their returns using closing prices. Many institutional investors depend on them for reporting and valuation. Even a small difference in the closing price can affect portfolios worth thousands of crores. So if the closing price is so important, should one final trade decide it? Imagine a large institution selling millions of shares seconds before the market closes. If there are not enough buyers at that exact moment, the price could suddenly fall. Not because the company became less valuable, not because investors discovered new information, simply because one large transaction happened at an unusual time. A single trade could influence the valuation of millions of investments. That is why markets needed a better solution. Instead of asking, what was the last price someone traded at? Exchanges started asking, if every buyer and seller could participate together one final time, what price would allow the maximum number of shares to be traded? That question changes everything. The goal is no longer speed. The goal is fairness. The goal is fairness. This is the idea behind the closing auction. Think of a traditional auction. When an item is being sold, buyers do not immediately grab it. They announce how much they are willing to pay. Sellers decide the lowest price they will accept. The auctioneer collects all these offers. Then, after seeing everyone's interest, chooses a price where the greatest number of people can complete a transaction. The closing auction works in a similar way. After regular trading ends, eligible investors can submit orders according to exchange rules. Instead of immediately matching buyers and sellers, the system collects these orders together. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. The screen may appear frozen, prices may stop moving. But inside the exchange, thousands of buying and selling decisions are being organized. Every order tells the market something. A buyer says, I am willing to purchase shares up to this price. A seller says, "I am willing to sell shares above this price." Together, these decisions create a picture of where supply and demand meet. After collecting the orders, the exchange begins searching for one specific price, the price where the maximum number of shares can actually be bought and sold. This is called the equilibrium price. The idea is simple. Imagine a farmer's market. If tomatoes are priced too high, farmers are happy because they can sell at a premium, but fewer customers buy. If tomatoes are priced too low, customers rush to buy, but farmers refuse to sell. Somewhere in the middle is the price where the largest number of buyers and sellers agree. That is the equilibrium. The stock market applies the same principle. It does not search for the highest possible price. It does not search for the lowest possible price. It searches for the price where the largest amount of genuine trading can happen. That becomes the official closing price. And this creates something fascinating. The closing price is not decided by whoever made the last move. It is decided by the combined decisions of everyone participating in the auction. Thousands of investors contribute information. The exchange processes that information, and one final price emerges, a price designed to represent the broadest agreement possible. But if the closing auction creates a fairer price, why doesn't everyone simply wait until the final minutes of the day to trade? The answer lies in a problem that every professional investor worries about: market impact. For an ordinary investor buying a few shares, this usually isn't a major concern. You place an order, someone sells, the trade happens. Simple. But imagine managing a fund worth thousands of crores. Your goal is to buy millions of shares. The moment you begin purchasing, the market notices. Other traders see increased demand. Algorithms detect unusual activity. Sellers start asking for higher prices. The stock price begins rising because of your own buying. Ironically, your attempt to buy shares makes those shares more expensive. This hidden cost is called market impact. The larger the order, the bigger the impact can become. Professional investors spend enormous effort trying to reduce this problem, and this is one reason the closing auction is so valuable. Instead of spreading a huge order throughout the day and revealing their intentions, institutions can participate in a centralized price discovery process. Everyone submits their interest. The exchange combines those orders. A single closing price is created. This is especially important for index funds. Unlike active investors, index funds are not trying to predict which stocks will rise or fall. Their goal is to follow an index as closely as possible. If the index is calculated using the official closing price, buying and selling around that price helps reduce something called tracking error. Tracking error is simply the difference between how an index performs and how closely a fund follows it. For large funds, even tiny differences matter. But because the closing auction is important, several myths have developed around it. The first myth: only big institutions can participate. That is not true. Retail investors may also participate through their brokers, depending on exchange rules and eligible securities. The second myth: if I place an order during the auction, my trade will definitely happen. Not true. An order only shows what price you are willing to buy or sell at. Whether the trade executes depends on the final equilibrium price and available demand or supply. The third myth: the closing price is simply the last traded price before 3:30 p.m. This is perhaps the biggest misunderstanding. The last trade and the official closing price can be different because the exchange may use the closing auction process to determine the final value. The market is not asking, who traded last? It is asking, where did the largest agreement between buyers and sellers happen? So what does this mean for an ordinary investor? First, understand that the closing price is not just another number on a screen. It affects valuations, reports, benchmarks, and many investment products. Second, if you notice the official closing price changing slightly after 3:30 p.m., it does not automatically mean something went wrong. It may simply be the result of the exchange completing its price discovery process. Third, remember that stock prices are not created by a single person, a single trade, or a single prediction. They are created by millions of decisions happening at the same time. The closing auction gives those decisions one final chance to meet. When most people think about the stock market, they imagine flashing charts, rapid trades, and constant movement. But one of the most important moments of the trading day happens when everything appears to become quiet. No dramatic headlines, no shouting, no race against the clock. Just a carefully designed system collecting information and searching for balance. Behind every closing price is a simple question. What price represents the fairest agreement between buyers and sellers right now? The closing auction is the market's attempt to answer that question. It shows that markets are not controlled only by the fastest trader or the biggest investor. They are shaped by collective participation, thousands of independent decisions combining into one final number. So the next time you see the market close at 3:30 p.m., remember, the story is not finished yet. While most investors stop watching, the exchange is still performing one final calculation. A calculation that influences mutual funds, index funds, institutions, and everyday investors across India. And hidden inside those final moments is one of the most fascinating systems in modern finance. Because sometimes, the most important part of the market happens after everyone thinks it has already ended. If you enjoyed this journey and learned something new about how markets really work, consider leaving a like and subscribing. It's completely free, and it helps support the channel so we can keep creating more simple visual stories behind the world's most complex systems. Because the more you understand how the market works, the better decisions you can make within it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next documentary.